What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante, episode number 5, with me, GamerKnoob. The Forbidden Love event is about to happen. Let's check it out. Forbidden Love. Another day of school behind you. You're now going down the district, taking your time before going home. It is getting dark. Soon you are walking past the splendid mansion of the Count El Velasco, one of Maga's richest landlords. You hear a familiar voice from the other side of the iron fence. It is Stefan's voice. It is followed by the sound of a young lady laughing. You peek through the fence and into the mansion's garden, and indeed, there you see your elder brother, dressed like he is going to meet the Emperor himself. He is currently busy helping a pretty young lady out of the window. She locks him in an emotional embrace. You recognize her. Maria El Velasco, Count El Velasco's daughter. As the whole city knows, she is already betrothed to another young nobleman from a far more illustrious family. Oh, Maria, I thought I would help you come down to earth from your heavenly abode, but your very touch brings me to the heavens. He picks the Count's daughter up and holds her in the air. She laughs, almost imperceptibly, and kisses him on the cheek, but then Stefan takes her by the chin and turns her to face him. Their lips join in a kiss. A flurry of emotion washes over you as you watch it happen. Stefan is putting the reputation of his entire family at risk. Acting so frivolously with the Count's daughter may turn the Count's influence against all the Brantes, and yet Stefan always speaks so highly of noble bearing and composure and family honor. Stefan's face is glowing with joy. Your older brother he's happy, truly happy. You've never seen Stefan like this as his arms hold the Count's daughter in a tender embrace, so gently as though he fears to hurt her. And Maria reciprocates his feelings. Must you really rob them of their secret joy? If you ever speak to him about this, no one else must hear it. You wait by the gate and patiently wait until Stefan decides to return from his escapades. He is startled when he finally notices you standing by the gate. I gotta help my bro. Gotta help the brother. What are you doing here at this late hour, noob? Is there something you wish to tell me? You confess to Stefan that you saw him today in El Velasco's garden with the Count's daughter. This affair puts both our family's honors at risk, yet you say you are happy for him. You can see how much he cares for her. No matter what, it is worth the risk. Stefan can trust you with his secret. You assure him. The two of you will keep it together. Stefan reacts to you with anger at first, but your supportive words calm him down. You've got all the makings of a professional spy, but you're right, the risk is too great. Your aid will not go amiss. You are no nobleman yet, but I hope I can trust you. From that day on, you help Stefan and Maria avoid attention on many occasions, and even have to distract El Velasco's manservants and lead them away on a wild goose chase through the district. In the end, you are never caught, and you earn your brother yet another night with his beloved. They are both aware that the days of their hidden love are numbered. But how will your escapades affect the family's reputation? You and your brother agree, whatever happens, young love is worth the risk. We got some spirituality and some ingenuity. We're not very bright. I mean, we're bright. I guess, you know what? I guess that's actually not bad. We're not slow, we're bright. So is that middling? It seems like, you know, when you call someone bright, you're like, oh, they're bright, they're smart. Like, that wouldn't be like a middling. But I don't know, maybe it is in this world. Continue. What have we got next? Are we finally getting into year 1132? No, an adult question. Okay, let's do this one now. The day is sunny and scorching and hot. You are sitting in the yard in the shade of a tree studying books about the twins' great descent. You hear shy, quiet steps. There's no need to look back. You know from the sound that it is Nathan. Your younger brother also sits in the shade of the tree, yet he is quiet. He is not tugging at your clothes this time. That is unusual. He's just sitting by your side, breathing loudly. You tear yourself away from the book and look at your brother. Nathan is deep in thought. He seems uneasy. He is fidgeting with a symbol of the twins, a cross inside a circle, the lash bound around the sword. It is Nathan's pendant. He wears it all the time, but not today. The silence wears on. Nathan takes a deep breath like he's about to speak, but he does not. His face grows even grimmer. He looks unusually hurt and bitter. At last, Nathan gathers his courage. He takes another deep breath. His eyes narrow. His hands clutches the encircled cross. Tell me, noobs, the twins, they hate me, don't they? Nathan's voice is quiet yet firm. The words fall silent around you. Not even a gust of wind can be heard. It is as if everything is waiting for your answer. You look at your brother again, confused. Nathan, the youngest brother, the most unassuming child, he is quiet, obedient, and thoughtful. He has been your responsibility almost since his birth, yet he has never been a burden. Father was always aloof around him, and mother was too tired to even smile. Even grandfather seemed to avoid Nathan with his scorn. He just treated your little brother like a piece of trash. He never called him by name and always winced at the sight of him, perhaps because he looked so much like mother. But is it true that the twin gods had no love for your little brother? Surely the twins have enough even for little Nathan, do they not? Nathan was born a commoner like you. His lot is suffering. Everyone is tested by the twins before their true death. No one can expect mercy along their path. He was born the youngest child in your family. That is his trial. Should Nathan persevere and bear the burden he has dealt with, he shall yet reach the peak of the pillar when his time runs out. There is hope in Nathan's eyes as he looks at you. Guiding others in matters of faith is a clergy's lot. You are no priest, yet you cannot stay quiet. You see his pain, and you see his trepidation, and so you tell him what you think. What you're about to say may be a turning point in his life. They don't hate you. I don't think they hate you, or do they hate you? You know what? It's like, yeah, I read this bottom. I didn't read I've tried to cover it up with my hand. I didn't read the right part over here. I read this bottom part. The twins are love for all that exists. Your brother's right. The twins are stern and ruthless. I mean, we know the gods exist. We know the two gods exist, right? That's not a question. They definitely exist. We know that we apparently know that the lots were not made by them, so they don't want us to stay punished. They are stern and ruthless. They're very stern. I don't know if they're ruthless, though, is what's getting me there. I'm gonna confirm his fears. You're quiet for a moment, and then you speak. The twins are stern indeed. They pay no heed to the wishes of men, for they are gods. They have their own vision, and they follow it to guide all people to greatness. But how can the twins guide them people when they are not people themselves? But there is a positive side to this. You do not have to love them either. After all, how can you force yourself to love forces that hate you for just being born? How can you force yourself to love entities that see you as wicked beings that will do nothing but blindly obey their will? For our guards have no mercy indeed, and their laws inhuman. We have to accept it, for we cannot change. But when your true death comes, there are two paths open to you. You can be brought to the peak of the shining pillar, or you can be cast down into eternal suffering at the foot of the pillar. If you wish for the twins' solace and eternal bliss in the hereafter, submitting to their will is the only way. Nathan hangs on your every word. The despair on his face is replaced by rage. He leaps to his feet. His fingers ball into fists. A single tear rolls down his reddened cheek. No, that cannot be. It is impossible. You simply cannot be right. The twins are testing me. They're testing me right now, too. I'm going to tell Mom you're spreading heresy. Nathan screams these words in your face and runs away, his pennant clenched in his fist instead of around his neck. You turn back to the book with a heavy heart. It always hurts to face the cruelty of this world. Will your younger brother weather the storm? You know his threats mean nothing. He will never tell on you. His doubt is too great. Oh. Well, angry Nathan over here yelling at me. He loves me, though. It's fine. Year 1132. We're 14 now. Agony. Stefan soon leaves after the trial, alone. Grandfather does not go with him. For the first time in a long while, he lingers in the house for more than a fortnight. Father says Sir Gregor is ill and needs rest. I'm not going to say yes, but yes! Oh, back. Make sure I... Several months go by, and it becomes clear that Grandfather will not recover. The eldest Brante is mostly bedridden now. On some days he has trouble recognizing people. When he means to address you or Nathan, he calls you Robert, your father's name. But when he does get out of bed, the house grows empty. The servants hide. Mother locks herself in her chambers. You and Nathan run outside or hide quietly in your rooms. If Grandfather sees anyone in the hallway, he begins lamenting. Oh, nobody heeds the lots any longer. Any harlot with a child can marry a nobleman these days. Children have no respect. His son betrayed him and let him down. And oh, how the Brante family has lost its honor. Again and again you hear Grandfather knocking at Mother's door, screaming that it's all her fault. He blames her for ruining his chances to find bliss in the hereafter. He blames her for dooming him to suffer at the foot of the pillar. You overhear your parents talking one night. Mother begs Father to move Sir Gregor to his old home and spare the children his decline. Father refuses her outright. It is late at night. The hot, dry winds are coming. The house is empty, save for you, Nathan, Gloria, Mother, and Grandfather in his bed. Father has left for the capital on business. You are engrossed in the history of the Empire, snapping out of your reverie only when the clock strikes midnight. You blow out the candle and get ready for bed. You hear shuffling of heavy feet outside your door. You see light in the hallway. Grandfather, what could he want in the middle of the night? You peek into the hallway once he has passed. Grandfather's figure sways as he heads for the door to Mother's chamber. She opens the door and walks in. You hear him saying something quietly. Your unease is stronger than you fear now. You sneak closer to hear his words. You foul commoner, I have to cleanse my sins. I have to save my soul. You are my greatest sin. You and what you have done to the Robert and his family. I should have put a stop to this marriage. I should have stopped Robert from tainting this house by your presence. Why, oh why didn't I do it? Please, Sir Brante, I beg of you. Silence, you will do my bidding. Fire will cleanse all the war and filth from this place. Fire and flame will free Robert from this disgrace. This is for my son's sake, for all my son's sake, for my sake. I need to eradicate this low-born filth. The twins, they are calling for me. I can feel it. I can feel it. I beg of you, please have mercy. Mother begins to cry. You run into the room, unable to stay out of this any longer. Grandfather's gaunt figure looms over Mother's bed, a lit oil lamp in his hand. Mother is sprawled on his bed, crying. Please just let me warn the children, I beg of you, Sir Brante. Your steps are loud enough to be heard. Grandfather looks at you. Stay out of this, noob. Be useful for once. Worldly matters concern me no longer. I see only my sins now, and I am a sinner. I am a sinner. The twins, they forgive no one. They will judge me by the pillar. I must do something. I don't want to suffer for all eternity. Go away. Mother is crying. Grandfather is still looming over the bed, driven to madness. His hand shakes as it clutches the oil lamp. His eyes shine in the dark. He truly believes that this has to be done. You're suddenly torn. What if he is right? What if this is the only way for his soul to find salvation? There's no going back now, but you have a moment to act. We're stopping him. Of course we're stopping him. You look at your grandfather defiantly and step towards him. He stares you down with rage and throws the oil lamp at the floor. You manage to catch it, but just barely. Several drops of hot oil hit the rug, not nearly enough to start a fire. The lamp's glistening and burning hot. It burns your hands, but you still hold onto it safely. You lowborn scum, you ruined everything. You're every bit like your mother. You. In rage, he takes a swing and you squeeze your eyes shut, but he does not hit you. Instead, there was a deep exhalation. You peek at him with one eye just in time to see him collapse, all his strength fading away, his chest is heaving, his face a grimace of contempt. Another heavy exhalation, the contempt is gone, there is only fear now. Grandfather's eyes open wide, almost in surprise. He exhales. He deserves to suffer at the foot. We've met a nice nobleman who was kind to us and kind to our mom and treated us nicely. And it was our friend who came to dinner a few chapters ago. And he's always just been a bad man, so you know what? He can die. His eyes grow dim. Mother is there, whispering a prayer. She's shaking violently. You put the oil lamp gently on the bedside table and call for the servants. They carry the body away. It does not disappear. True death has found him. He will never return. You spend the rest of the night with Mother in the sitting room. She will not let go of your hand. For many, many nights afterward, she keeps seeing Grandfather's shadow out of the corner of her eye. Father returns from Eterna the morning after. He is unusually composed as he arranges for the funeral. The house becomes quiet. Not the looming heavy sort of quiet of the past few months, but the calm relief you all feel now as the crazed old man is no more. At last, Gregor Brante, the family's patriarch, is departed the hereafter. Oh no, he's hostile towards us, but he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Up nobility, up ingenuity, but down willpower. We're out of willpower, friends. Your grandfather, Sir Gregor Brante, left this world forever to meet the twin gods. Good year. 1132, remember it. Solid year. Last respects. The night of Grandfather's death shook your family to the core, yet no matter how it happened, your grandfather, Gregor Brante, is dead and will never return. He was a fearful shadow looming over the rest of the family, the Brante patriarch exerting his influence on all lives below him, and all of you will remember him forever. Father is the new patriarch of the family now, yet he still cannot bring himself to sit at the head of the table where Sir Gregor used to preside. Stefan locks himself away in Grandfather's bedroom every day. He will not talk to anyone. Gloria and Nathan still jump at every sound that so much resembles the knocking of his walking stick. Mother spends all day in prayer at the temple. And yet the house has become calm and quiet with his passing, but there is one more thing that must be done. The final farewell weighs heavily upon your soul. The day comes to pay your final respects. Father goes to the tomb alone, save for Stefan, Nathan, and you. Mother and Gloria stay at home. Only nobles, or those who may become nobles, may join this ritual. There's a solemn silence as you walk into the crypt. Father is the one who breaks the silence when you finally reach the door of the family crypt. Your grandfather built this crypt, and now he will be the first Brante to remain here in body forever, the first ever noble in our family. It is our duty now to hold the sacrament of flowing blood for Sir Gregor. We will honor his legacy and join him as the founder of the noble Brante dynasty. Stefan perks up at his father's words. His hands still clutch grandfather's sword. Tradition decrees that it must remain in the niche above the owner's sarcophagus. Nathan, on the other hand, looks even more frightened now. The stairs carved of white stone lead you downward. Deep in the gloom of the crypt, atop a pedestal, you see the sarcophagus that holds grandfather's body. Father takes a moment to compose himself before paying his final respects. Gregor Brante, my father, brought our family into nobility through his unshakable will. He was a judge and a loyal servant to the Empire. He lived his life as if he had been born a noble. He never strayed from the path he had chosen. He sought to make the Brante family ennobled by the sword so that our children's children might be of noble birth. The twins know I abide in my father's words all my life, even if I cannot obey him every time. Father lets a bitter chuckle as he says this. Stefan glares at Father, then turns to glare at Nathan, at you. After all, the two of you were born of Father's shameful decision to marry a commoner. All of you remember his disastrous passing. He did not die the true death he deserved, yet we all must know that he fought for the future he believed in, to the very end, and he would be proud to see his family bid him farewell with the sacrament of the nobility. Stefan still glares at Father sullenly. His fingers remain clutched around grandfather's sword. Nathan barely pays attention to the words. He looks around with unease, arms folded across his chest. Father reaches into his jacket, pulls out a slender dagger, then, and sharp, he takes off his gloves. Watch me carefully, my sons. Make a small cut on your palm and let your hand blood flow into the duct on the wall of the crypt. It will join your grandfather's blood here and flow forever. Then ancestor and progeny will become as one. We shall enter our family's blood tide and receive grandfather's final blessing, for his blood flows first in our blood tide. He will respond to you, you are part of him, and he is part of you. With a quick motion, father slices his hand and holds the bleeding cut above a small opening in the wall. Then he hands the dagger to Stefan. Stefan cuts his hand without hesitation and does as father did. You receive the dagger next. The dagger's handle feels warm. You hesitate for a moment as you look at the palm of your hand. If you participate in this ritual, you will enter the Brante blood tide. You, a lowborn child, the child who is still a commoner, are you ready to claim your legacy as a descendant of the nobleman Gregor Brante? The eyes of your grandfather, father and brothers are upon you. Nathan, the youngest brother, will follow your example. You can be certain of this. Well, we can't do this one. I'm not giving the dagger. I'll ask for his blessing. I want to be on dad and bro's good side. So we're going to try it. You grasp the dagger firmly, then quickly drag the blade across your palm. The fresh wound burns on your hand. Yet before you allow your blood to join the blood of your father and elder brother, you ask your late grandfather aloud, will he give his blessing to become a part of him? Will he allow you to join the Bronte blood tide? You hear Stefan's indignant sigh. He does not say a word, however. Your words are a token of respect for grandfather and his will. Should you obtain his blessing, Stefan will not defy the late Bronte patriarch. Then, suddenly, you all freeze. Each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, and he speaks to each of you separately. You have the courage to ask for my blessing. You deserve an answer. To me, you are not incorrigible, you are half lowborn, yet you make a worthy nobleman one day. I shall allow you to join my blood tide, but know this, I will be watching you always, and my shadow will follow you forever. Do not let me down, boy. Grandfather's voice falls silent. You glance at his father and brothers, astonished. Save for Stefan, everyone else is dumbfounded as well. You have grandfather's blessing. You hold your hand above the opening in the wall. Your blood drips into the duct and flows farther into the crypt as it combines with the blood of your father and brother. Nathan's turn comes. Your brother hesitates. Father offers to help him, but Nathan shakes his head. Finally, he makes a cut, and Nathan's blood mixes with yours in the duct of the crypt. The ritual is complete. Stefan reverently kisses the grip of grandfather's sword and places it on the alcove above his sarcophagus. Once all is done, you leave the crypt together. Cool, fresh wind blows in your face as you return to the surface. Father stops halfway to the carriage and hugs Nathan and you briefly. Now your blood belongs to the dynasty of Sir Gregor Bronte as well. Don't like Grandpa, but he did make our family noble. I hate pretty much everything that the man stood for, but he gave us a chance to all be better in life. It's the one thing we can give him that's good. And we can ask for his blessing, I guess. And we get good relations with our dad and our big bro. Awesome. I like these ores. Let's see what we got next. Oh, this is such a fun game. I love this game. Oh, Ingenuity 4, the poets. Today, you and Thomas are to explore the streets of the castle district. You delve into the district, right to the old siege walls of Anazat. The city needs these walls no longer. There are no more enemies left for the Empire to fight, so the twins descended and chose the Tempest dynasty to rule the Empire, to spread one sea to sea, bringing its rule and peace for many generations. The two of you gaze in awe at the old charcoal black marks on the former fortress walls. They say magic wielders during Shar Melanidus' rebellion could conjure gusts of fire with their own hands. The rebellious duke fought against the Emperor and the Church of the Twin Gods in the days of yore, but nothing remains of his rebellion now, save for scorched ruins, the parched land throughout Magra. You and your friends study the old walls and daydream about battles that took place here during the rebellion. But then you hear a muffled voice coming from somewhere below the ground. You look around and find the hole in the brickwork from where the sound is coming. Naturally, you take a peek. You see a half-ruined hall built below the ground and a handful of young men and women standing there in the dark. They look a bit older than you and they are wearing plain shirts and dresses. A young man is standing on a piece of crumbled wall reciting some of his poetry. It tells the story of a nobleman who fell into a puddle thanks to his gaudy cloak. None of his noble bearings was of any help. He ends it with a farewell bow. You hear applause and laughter. He gets down from the crumbled wall and a young girl takes his place. You cannot see her face in the darkness, but hers is a voice you could recognize anywhere. It is Gloria. Your sister begins to recite a poem she has written. Nay, Gloria, yours is no proper life. You are to be a mother and a wife. Accept the kitchen apron for a gag, and lo, another voice takes a crack. You're straying from your lot. You've got some nerve. Eyes down and obedient and serve. Your husband, children, house. They are absolute. Nay, Gloria, you are but rotten fruit. You lean down to hear there, but sand and stone fall from under your feet into the underground hall. Gloria looks up and meets your gaze. Thomas pulls you away from the hole. So they're reading poems, imagine that. They sure hate nobles, and even Gloria, I never thought your sister could do that. But they're gonna get in trouble if they get spotted by an adult. Bad-mouthing a noble will get you flogged into next week. Not to mention all the trouble you can get in for writing poems if you're a commoner. You'd better tell your sister to lay off. We better stay away from them too. You nod. Being around these people puts Gloria in great danger, but you know your sister. It will not be easy to tell her this. Your adventure in the castle district is done for the night. You and your friend return. During dinner, Gloria will not look at you. Her hair is all disheveled. Is she afraid or is she ashamed? You're also worried sick. Those literary gatherings may spell danger for your sister, but for an illegitimate child like her, there are so few ways to forge your own path. Dinner is over. Soon you and Gloria are alone at the table. What are you going to tell her? I'm going to keep her secret, of course. I love Gloria. Gloria finally looks at you. You wink at your sister and promise to keep her secret. You praise the poetry you were able to overhear and confess that you were very impressed. A big joyous smile appears on her face. I'm so happy, brother. I thought you were going to tell me to stop going there and say what Mother says about my lot, but I'm glad you're not like that. Me and my friends, without our poetry, we don't have anything else left. Nothing but our abysmal daily lives. At least we can laugh about it this way. You get serious and tell her that her friends need to work much harder to hide their meetings. After all, this secret passion could end badly for them if they get caught. The best way out of this is to meet in a new place every time. You list off several abandoned places nearby where nobody will look for them. You promise her that if she ever comes close to danger, you'll be there to protect her. Gloria nods and plants a kiss of sisterly joy on your cheek. We're nearly maxed out, yay! And ingenuity up. Gloria nods and plants a kiss. Oh, we already read that. I knew that. Boom. You're welcome, Gloria. Grandfather's passing its respects and the mark of the entire family. His words relayed from the hereafter keep echoing in your mind. You still do your best to avoid the memory of grandfather's last night and spend more time on the city streets with Thomas and your other classmates. The road by the house reminds you of another clash with death. Sometimes as you walk along that road you recall Sophia, the beautiful girl with wonderful eyes, and that terrifying thunderous hooves. You've not seen Sophia since that fateful day. The children who live nearby say her parents sent her to a rich Arknian family, the Ottons, as a servant. The sun is set. The pillar shines clearly in the bright sky. Thomas is ill, so you decide to visit him until the latest news. The streets seem oddly agitated tonight, full of horses, cloaked men, strange faces, and hushed voices. A young nobleman in a heavy embroidered cloak is walking back and forth, clutching at his sword nervously. There's a grimace of rage on his delicate blue face. He is an Arknian. You overhear voices. Sir Otton, the girl's not home. We searched the house. Her parents swear she ran away from home too. They claim they wanted to bring her back. Just do whatever it takes. Turn this loathsome district upside down. If you must, but bring my servant back to me. She's here. Sophia ran away from the Arknian? How can this be? There's only one place on the entire street where a person could hide, the abandoned Moral House, 4 houses away from yours. You head there, doing your best not to attract attention. The lopsided house built of yellow bricks has been abandoned for 20 years or so. You remember playing there as a boy. You glimpse a figure inside even before you enter. A pair of eyes glimmer in the dark. You'd recognize them even for another 4 years. Sophia's grown up. She's almost an adult now, and her face is full of fear. She's not the easygoing girl next door you remember. She finally recognizes you. Oh, it's you, Noob. Be quiet. They're all looking for me. I ran away from the youngest Otton. I might be in for a lesser death here, but I'd rather die than spend another day in their slavery. I'm just a thing to him, a toy to play with. Sophia winces and closes her mouth as she says this. There's a glint of bright yellow deep in her eyes. I ran to my parents. I told them all about the men I had to serve, and they went and alerted the Ottons. They don't want to be the target of their ire, but you are going to tip them off, are you? The barking and shouting are getting closer. Sophia's voice grows quiet. She runs off to the darkest corner of the house before you can answer. One of Otton's servants is so close you can hear his cloak swishing against the ground. He notices something and calls for the others. There are more voices around you now. They approach the house from the yard and surround it. One of them seems particularly snappy, annoyed, and impatient. You've already heard his voice today. If you're in there, girl, you'd be wise to come out and quit wasting my time. All will be forgiven and you'll go back to where you were. You know it, and if you don't, I'll drag you out by your hair. The hilt of the young Arknian's sword bashes on the door. He's about to lose his patience for good. Sophia hugs the wall in the dark, trying to stay still. She glances at you. What will you do? Your heart is racing. Can you act against the Arknian's orders? Do you have the gall to defy the mighty nobleman? I don't think we can attack him. I don't think we can hide alone. I definitely would never give her back. I think I'm going to try to help her flee, yeah. You grab Sophia's hand as you run down the stairs to the old cellar. She resists you at first until she reads your lips. There's a secret way out. You sneak away into the cellar, leading the floor. The floorboards groan above your heads as the Arknian and his men search the house, but only children who grew up in this district know that the cellar leads to the neighboring district. You lead Sophia to the hole in the cellar floor and help her squeeze in. There it is, an old tunnel that leads to a well-known 2 streets away. None of the children know who dug it, yet you played here and chased each other through it so many times as a lad, and now the secret passage will rescue Sophia from a genuine pursuit. Soon you are in the well. There is nothing above you save for a sky full of clouds. You wait until you hear no more steps around you and climb out of the well. Help Sophia up. You lead the way to the slums around the temple district, the easiest place to disappear. A dog in a nearby house starts barking. One of Autumn's men appears in front of you. You take a step back as your fingers reach for a brick, ready to defend Sophia no matter the cost. She squeezes your hand, and then you hear a high-pitched scream of rage. A flash of yellow light stuns you. In the blink of an eye, Autumn's man freezes and collapses, unable to get up. Sophia's eyes are no longer blue, they are yellow now. She lets go of your hand, you recoil in fear. You weren't supposed to see that, noob. Don't worry, I won't hurt you, but I won't let them take me. I won't go back to the Ottens after this. I need to run as far as my legs can carry me. Thank you for helping me, and farewell. Sophia gives you a gentle kiss on the cheek and disappears down the dark alley. You stand there, stunned. Sophia is a witch? Her magic bound Otten's man by the arms and legs and made him unable to move. You hear Otten scream of rage and thumping of his men's feet, but Sophia's long gone. It's a shame all you could do. That's all you could do for her. The runaway Gore becomes the talk of the district for a week. You overhear that Sophia managed to flee the city. The Ottens are furious. After this sudden appearance, she disappears from your life once more. You will not see her again until much, much later. Now we're exhausted. We were full power. Oh no! Year 1133. We're 15. We're going to finish out Adolescence in this episode most likely, unless it becomes like an hour, and then we won't. You're about to turn 15, just one step from adulthood. Mother is acting anxiously at dinner today, barely touching her food. You exchange glances with Gloria. She carefully tells you that she wants to go to the tailor. Mother shudders and her hands clench into fists. No, don't you dare leave home today. I forbid it. That dirty heretic Fotis is preaching his lies under the silver tree today. Twins willing, I don't want you to hear any of that. You and Gloria can't glance at each other. Fotis, he's a patriarch, the head of the clergy throughout the entire province. That's the first time you've heard your mother speak like this about a priest, especially such a high-ranking one. Once you leave the dinner table, Gloria comes to your room with a cunning expression on her face, like she's about to play a trick on someone. She has a plan. The two of you should sneak out of the house and go to the silver tree. You simply must hear that sermon for yourself. What's it about Patriarch Fotis? Why does Mother hate him so much? You two are grown-ups now. Surely you have the right to know. You agree with your sister. Together you sneak out from under your mother's watchful eye and hurry to the silver tree. The temple block is full of people from all ranks in the state. There is barely enough room for you to squeeze through the crowd. The crowd has gathered around the very roots of the tree. Gloria suggests that you climb up to the roof of a nearby building so that you can see and hear everything better. Not a moment too soon. From the roof, you see a tall, silver-haired priest step onto the platform by a tree dressed in the common black robe that looks far beneath his rank, yet he stands like a noble before the crowd. Behind his back is a banner flapping in the wind of the open book. That is the symbol of the new faith, the crowd whispers. The patriarch holds up his hand to the sky, and the entire temple block grows quiet. He begins his sermon, his voice vibrant, rolling across the square. Fotis speaks of a great mistake. We entrusted ourselves to the lots as the only way to fulfill divine providence in this world, but for all these years, the will of the twins has been interpreted for us by a single man, Prophet Asadius. The twins are ever watching from atop the shining pillar of this, we will have no doubt, but how can we so blindly believe that we follow their will by following the lots? Have we not seen the 3 lots of Asadius fail again and again to answer the question of how we ought to live our lives? Have we not seen people change their lot in life again and again without being smitten by our divine wrath? Every person born, whether human or Arknian, lowborn or noble, must find their lot and their way to the gods on their own. From now on, we will seek the gods in the accounts of their own lives and their own acts in this world, and their own words as they echo within us. And as we heed the voice of the twins within, we will find their path for us on our own. The crowd at the silver tree listens to the patriarch's speech in stunned silence. You glance at your sister. Her eyes glisten with tears as she hears Fotis' word. Then suddenly a hoarse cry rises from the cloud. If there are no lots, does that mean the nobles are going to till the fields and the commoners are going to bear arms? The crowds begin to murmur. The patriarch raises his hand and inhales, ready to answer. An odd figure leaps from the crowd onto the platform, a dirty beggar dressed in rags. A knife flashes in his hand. The blade slices. Blood starts spurting from Fotis' throat. He slumps over and collapses. A dark brown puddle spreads across the platform where he had stood. Gloria clutches her mouth to suppress a shriek. A few moments of stunned silence, and then the screams begin. The people are frantic. The temple guards try to restore order in the crowd, but to no avail. An old woman dressed in an inquisitor cassock tries to apply pressure to the patriarch's wound. The nobles draw their swords. Dogs are barking. The crowd is pushing and shoving. Children are crying. The entire square by the tree is in chaos. From the roof, you see the moment when people start trampling each other, howling, praying, shouting. Gloria tugs on your sleeve. Time to go. You climb down from the roof and run. You return home without exchanging a word. Mother has been in her room all the while, so no one noticed your absence. Gloria locks herself in her room. You do not discuss the things you've just seen. They are too frightening, but your parents discuss every little detail of the bloodstained sermon over dinner. This is unbelievable. The patriarch murdered in plain sight. The gendarmes and the archduke's guards have searched every corner of the slums, and the murderous beggar has disappeared without a trace. I can't even imagine a more gruesome crime. Fotis has died a true death, never to return from the hereafter. But how? Why can't the patriarch be born? He's so close to the twins. Such is the way of the world, my children. Once you are granted great power by the twins' will, there is no hope for you to come back, not even after the first of your deaths. Emperors, their powerful vassals, heads of great Arknian empires, patriarchs of the church, none of them are destined to be reborn. Fotis is gone forever. I feel for his soul. It was lost in doubt. Will the twins accept him on the peak of the pillar? We must pray for the patriarch, children. Let us hope he managed to return to the true old faith for the moment of his passing. But there's little hope for that. Oh my. Order is going down in the world. That's not good. The last night. Tomorrow you turn 16. According to imperial law, you'll be a full adult. Your time at Sir Tiber's school has ended. You have studied enough to apply for the Imperial College and learn the judge's trade there. You are to travel to Eterna tomorrow. Your friend Thomas will go there with you to try his luck in the Imperial capital. Mother and father prepare you for your long journey. Remember, son, there is only one goal for you. You must become a student in the Imperial College. Your teachers dragged you through all those books for a reason. You have the knowledge and fervor to be ennobled by the mantle, as I was, and as my late father was before me, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one to write the name Brante in the blue book, and ensure that your children's children will be noble by birth. When mother speaks to you very carefully, there is worry in her eyes. But Robert, there may be another path for our son, Stefan. Your firstborn was born a noble. You will surely earn the title in the entire Brante family. Your secondborn bears the favor of the twins. For him, the path of the priest is a worthy calling, no less than a nobleman's sword. They've been arguing about your future for a while now. Still, she would never defy the will of a nobleman and of her husband. You smile at them both, trying to placate them. Gloria laughs quietly behind their backs. Just don't become a snoot like Stefan, and you'll do just fine. Mother chides Gloria for that. You wink at your sister. Nathan's been downcast all evening. He barely touched his dinner. When everyone gets up from the table, he suddenly rushes over to embrace you. Please don't go, noob. Can't you stay? I don't know what I'm going to do without you. You tussle his hair in response. There's no way you can stay now, you say. But when you come home, you will come home. But when you come home, and you will come home, you'll tell him all your stories and bring him a special present from Eterna. That is it. All your lessons have been learned. All your things have been packed for the road. You will leave the family home tomorrow. Tonight is your last night at home before your departure. You walk through the rooms one last time. The sitting room where your mother used to read you fairy tales, the library where Gloria used to spend all her time, father's study, which you entered only on special occasions, and the backyard where you taught Nathan to build towers one summer. The whole place feels so familiar, so dear to you, it feels like home. You lived here for 16 years. Will you ever return? It's getting late, but everyone is already in their rooms. You hesitate. Father, Mother, Gloria, and Nathan. It'll be a long time before you see them again. Who you spend your last few hours with? I'm gonna go with Gloria. Yeah, Gloria. Oh, I should have gone with Nathan for low power, but oh well. Indeed, your sister is still awake. She jumps out of her armchair happily the moment she sees you. I'm so happy you're actually here, brother. You know, before you leave, I actually have something to tell you. Gloria takes your hand and leads you to the library. You light a lamp. Gloria pulls out a hefty volume from one of the shelves. Look, there's a history of the noble houses. It's got the story of how humans were first ennobled. I read all of it, and guess what? It didn't happen until after the expansion of the Empire. Apparently there weren't enough Arknians for all the land. They just couldn't rule it over by themselves. Arknians have always treated humans like cattle, but human nobles are even worse. They're like their paltry copies now, bearing noble titles, wearing gem-studded jackets, bossing each other around, and poisoning their lives. They make me sick. Everybody says nobles were born to rule, but if you ask me, I say they're nobodies. There's nothing noble about demeaning others and living off their hard work. Gloria is growing unusually agitated. You knew she was not exactly fond of nobles, but this is the first time you have heard such a burning scorn in her voice. But then Gloria stops herself suddenly and calms down. I just wanted to tell you, brother, you don't actually have to become a noble. If you're a noble, you'll have to follow their rules like Stefan does. You're not like him, I know it. Don't listen to Mother, and definitely don't listen to your father. They just want you to blindly follow them. It's true Sir Brante spent plenty of money and effort on your education, but a noble title and a judge's rank were his dream for you, not yours. It's time to think for yourself. Her words spark a dispute. You keep debating into the small hours. Soon you both start reaching into history and politics and morals for material, pulling out library books one by one to prove your points. It turns out Gloria is an excellent debater. All the days and nights she spent in the library have honed her mind and rhetorical skills. The sun is about to rise. You should rest before the long trip, but you are not tired at all. Before you return to your rooms, Gloria locks you in a heartfelt hug. Noob, please promise me you'll find your own way out there. You nod to her and hug her back, and then she is off. You get into bed, but you cannot sleep. Gloria's words keep you up all night. We're inventive now. Ho ho ho! March from home. You leave the family home for a long time. Your future awaits you in Eterna at the capital of the Empire. Did we finish the chapter? The end of Adolescence. The last night, it was their final night at home. The carriage is now waiting at the gate, ready to take you to the capital. The clip-clopping of idle hooves against the cobblestones count the seconds before your departure. You take one more look at your parents' house and recall your childhood spent there in the nearby yards at your school and on the winding streets of Anazat. You clashed with your greater world around you and survived. You felt the tingle of emotion for the first time. You were taught by the school and the streets. You explored the city of your birth and learned something of its past. You witnessed first-hand events that were remembered by history for all time. All of this is yours now, forever. You saw death, lesser death followed by rebirth, and the true death that takes and never gives back. You saw death lying in wait to strike the unaware like a beast stalking its prey. You saw grandfather's angry grimace lit by the flickering fire of the lamp, the Archduke's cavalry trampling those who stood in their way, and your older brother's bloodied sword slicing through the air. Death has followed you from a very young age, and yet you live on. You have a friend who has been by your side all these years. Thomas taught you many things, how to take a hit, how to keep your word, and how to remain true to your own self. And now Thomas is walking to the same carriage as you are with a heavy bag slung over his shoulder. Your friend will remain a companion for the time being. Ahead of you is a long trip toward the capital and adulthood. For the first time, you will be away from your family and home. What awaits you in the future? My voice is dead after doing that entire Adolescence chapter in one sitting, my friends. It was worth it, I feel, but my voice is definitely dead. We have 6 noble, which is not bad. We're noble. We're not dignified. We're inventive, and we're soulful. So we're doing okay in everything, you know, more ingenuitive. I'd like to be a little bit more noble, but I'm happy that we're inventive. Our willpower, we're exhausted, unfortunately, so hopefully nothing big happens on the first thing and we can get some. But that's going to do it for this last episode of Adolescence, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to give my voice a break because I'm about to die. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like. If you got anything to say, go to the comments below. And if you have yet, hit that subscription button. The bell helps me out a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.